My name is Jonathan Mwaba, a proud student of the Clinton School of Public Service. I'm also proud to inform you that I'm standing here representing all the women and children in Africa whose voices cannot be heard. The voices of all the young men in Africa that dream of attaining an education. And it is my prayer and hope, therefore, that after I've walked through the foundations of this institution, I may be properly equipped to engage in the discourse of public service and speak for all the voices of the women and children that couldn't be heard this afternoon. For all the voices of young men in Darfur, in Rwanda, that only dream of hope without ever living it. To hope to amplify the echoes of all their voices that speak of a future that dreams are made of. I am an African citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people in this world that are part of this African family that seek to represent the echoes of these African voices. Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela, Kofi Annan, and others. And in our presence today is one such man who believes in the African dream, that Africa can be identified by its common humanity and not with its past history or differences. His credentials speak for themselves, and he needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, if you may put your hands together and join me to welcome the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Levy Patrick Mwanawasa.
Is it principal? Mr. Name with the school, honorable cabinet ministers, senior government officials, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Zambia to the United States, ladies and gentlemen. We are very greatly honored to be afforded an opportunity to meet you this morning and to visit some of the facilities which you have. I was listening to the introduction of young Jonathan. He talked of when he leaves this place, he's going to work hard to ensure that the women and children of Africa are emancipated. Now, it only needs a few of young men like Jonathan, and there will be no rights for men. I am very encouraged at the fact that we can have young people who think of working hard to ensure that young men's rights and the rights of children are protected. My government, under my leadership, is keen to ensure that these rights are protected. We are here at Clinton's Public Administration School. The public administration is a very noble career. The importance of public administration is cannot be ever overemphasized. They are paid lowly, but they perform a very fundamental job in the sense that without public administration, government cannot run at all. But it is important that they should display high levels of integrity in order that the public whom they serve appreciate the good governance which make development possible. I want to commend this institution for working very hard for the improvement of the lives of people and for providing facilities for people all over the world to come and learn the career in public administration. In Zambia, we have fought very hard to establish institution of public accountability, and what you're doing here is very much key to our program. It is good that Jonathan Mava is here, but when I was being briefed about this institution, I decided that we should send more young men to come and train public administration here. I want to thank the ambassador for making this trip possible, and we are very grateful to be here. With these few remarks, I will be happy to receive questions, any questions which you might want to ask about Zambia and about Africa.
All right, I will moderate the questions. Who has some questions? Lindsay.
Mr. President, my name is Lindsay. First, I would like to say, Zikomo Kombiri.
Where did you learn that?
I had the privilege of visiting your country in 2006 for 2.5 weeks. And my question with you has to do with HIV and AIDS. I know that's something that is just not unique to Zambia, but to all African nations. And in Zambia, I witnessed firsthand what was going on among the population and with the children. The country is working very hard toward making a difference in that area. But what are some more specific things that Zambia or other African nations and other institutions can do to help curb this epidemic?
Yes, HIV/AIDS is a challenge which Africa and Zambia in particular faces. We look at HIV/AIDS not just as a disease, but as a development problem. Many of our young people have died or afflicted or have been rendered orphans. So it is important that we should put our efforts together and fight this scourge. AIDS, eradication of AIDS goes hand in hand with the development. You may wish to know that when we came into government some 6 years ago, the rate of infection was around 26%. We worked very hard during the first 3 years. This rate was reduced to 6%, at 16%. At the moment, there are study data being collected to establish the latest statistics. We do hope that the incidence of AIDS has gone down substantially. We fight HIV/AIDS through basically sensitization. we teach about the evils of sex. And as a matter of fact, you find that even in government and all institutions, we have committees which are set to sensitize about this scourge. Then we have antiretroviral drugs which are available free of charge. Now we want as many people as possible to receive these antiretroviral drugs. The only problem is that we are constrained by funds. It is, when we started, we had less than 20,000 people on the antiretroviral drugs. We reached 50, 60, 70, but now we are around 150,000. It is possible to put more people if we can receive assistance. We are a population of 12,000 people, 12 million people, and if you consider that the rate of infection is 16%, you will see that over 1 million people are affected by this scourge. And therefore, 150,000 on the antiretroviral is a drop in the ocean. So my appeal while I'm out of the country, is to appeal to the international mission community, including yourself, to influence business houses and those who are able to bring this relief to Zambia.
Okay. Tim, you've got a microphone back there.
Thank you for coming, Mr. President. My name is Tim Jatina. What do you think Zambia and other nations can do to address the turmoil in Zimbabwe?
The turmoil in Zimbabwe is very unfortunate. We believe with a lot of resolve, with a lot of dialogue, it should be possible to effect the settlement. And unfortunately, those of you abroad, those of you who are far away, consider that the answer is Robert Mugabe. There must be a regime change. There must be an initiative under which Robert Mugabe is isolated. Don't speak to him. That way you will bring about change. But I have a message for you, that dialogue is the most important weapon. You talk to him, give him your message, and hear him out, let him speak. And you will find that you will be getting better results. We in SADC are working extremely hard. When we meet at Summit of Heads of State, we talk to President Mugabe. We in an endeavor to influence things. We appointed, sometime last year, we appointed Thabo Mbeki, the president of South Africa, to be a mediator between Robert Mugabe's government and the opposition parties in that country. And the progress has been moving very well. Only 2 weeks ago, there was announced an agreement between the two parties under which they agreed on certain constitutional amendments which would be user-friendly to the holding of fair and free elections in Zimbabwe. I am not saying that that was enough. There is a lot which requires to be done. But it requires constant intervention. What has happened recently of a big power announcing that if Robert Mugabe is invited to attend the summit in Europe, that big power will not go, will not attend. It's very unfortunate. We need everybody. We need everybody to solve the problem. But it will only harden the spirit of Mugabe, the spirit of his followers, to continue what we are unhappy about. The issue in Zimbabwe is over land. Now, the people of Zimbabwe fought for their independence. They fought. Some of them died. They were fighting basically over land. Now, there was an agreement that compensation would be given to the people, to the whites who would be removed from their land and given to the blacks. Now, this compensation was not given. So it became a situation in which people received their independence, but they were not able to see the fruits of independence. I think the time had come when the Zimbabweans felt that they should do something about their independence. And they took things in a manner which you and I might say is wrong. Indeed, the manner in which they dealt with the issue of land was a bit harsh. But I think those who denied compensation evaded it.
All right, one question, another question.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm Tina, clinical school student from China. Zambia is the first country in South Africa established diplomatic relationship with China since 1964. Ever since then, China has been directly involved with 37 future projects in Zambia, including infrastructure construction and economic development. In your opinion, which project is most beneficial and useful to Zambia, and how will predict the bilateral economic relationship for the future? Thank you.
They are all very important for Zambia. And let me take an example, this opportunity to answer to the concerns of particularly those of you in the Western world who think that China is having a lot of influence in Africa. Africa is in a hurry to develop. We want to develop just as much as you have developed. We would like to take certain things for granted. We would like to be sure that when somebody falls sick, he will be taken to a hospital and the doctors will be there. If some of you have followed what is happening in Africa, in Zambia in particular, whenever we have wanted a development project, we have, in the first instance, gone to the West. Now, the West has always declined to assist, either because the project is unfeasible, or because there's no money, or because it can't be done in that part of the world. Now, we, under those circumstances, we have been forced to go east. And a typical example is the Huru Railway, Tazara Railway. That railway was very important to Zambia and Tanzania. We invited the British to come and put up that railway. They refused. So the Chinese provided the railway. And today, that railway is a very important piece of infrastructure to both countries. We have been thinking of privatizing the railway, and I'll tell you what, the majority of the people who have expressed interest have come from the West. So, my message is that you people in the West, redeem yourself before you begin attacking China. Yes, China is giving us a lot of development with no strings attached. We have an economic development zone which is being set up on the Goa Belt of Zambia. This will cost $900 million US, and it will employ something like 60,000 people. And then there'll be companies from all over the world to come and set up industries there. Now, we are a country which is in a hurry to develop. We want to give opportunities to secure for them employment. We want to put money in their pockets, so that they can live well, so that they can also say, God thinks about them. And please forgive us if you think that we are being unreasonable in moving to the east. Those people are only friendly, and they are the only hope whom we have. But I can assure you that we will receive assistance from wherever it can come from. This is why I'm here. I came to attend the United Nations General Assembly, but I took trouble to travel in various states. I'm addressing the business sector, the private sector, so that they can come and develop. Otherwise, if it was the fact that we are only concentrating on West in the East, we wouldn't be here with such a strong, powerful delegation of my cabinet. I've come with there are 4 ministers with me, but the foreign minister has gone to Germany, and the Minister of Justice left this morning. He has gone back to Zambia.
All right, one final question because he wants to tour the library. James.
Mr. President, thank you for coming and speaking with us. My name is James Mitchell. On Tuesday, September 25th, the Mo Ibrahim Foundation released its annual index of African governance and ranked Zambia 19th out of 48 African countries. If you're familiar with the survey, what do you think of it, and what do you think of his offer to award $5 million to honest and accountable African governance?
19th for big one?
For Zambia, was placed 19th out of 48.
For what?
In terms of accountable governance.
I haven't seen that I haven't seen those statistics. But all I can say is that when we came into power, things were very, very bad. But we have done very substantial achievements. We have embarked on a serious anti-corruption campaign so that governance is of laws rather than of men. There is no sacred cow. Anybody will be taken to task if they engage in corruption. So I can't say what's happening in If you asked me where do you stand, my view is that I would rate my country number one.
Mr. President, thank you very much for coming to the Clinton School. We welcome the First Lady, all the officials from Zambia, and now Wanda Hoover, who is the Director of Marketing for the Clinton Foundation, and Jonathan, who is the expert on everything Clinton, is going to guide you all on a tour of the Clinton Library. We appreciate you being here very much. I want to thank Harding University again for making this possible, and welcome to the Clinton School.